Complete and total chaos happened this college football championship weekend, and now there's a big question to be asked. Should the Alabama Crimson Tide be put in to the CFB playoffs after losing and getting absolutely dominated 28-7 against Georgia in the SEC championship game? I mean, domination. 141 rushing yards to -3 rushing yards. 297 total yards to 200, and Alabama's only score came from a drive aided by dumb Georgia penalties, a unnecessary roughness call, a PI that probably shouldn't have been a PI because it was an underthrown ball, a referee pick that led to a touchdown. That was the only score of the game. It should have been 28-0. It ended up being 28-7, but it was complete and total domination by Georgia from start to finish. So now Alabama finds themselves with a 9-3 record and possibly being left off of a 10-3 record and possibly being left out of the college football playoffs at large bid. In my opinion, now you guys are here for my glorious opinion because it matters so much to the committee. I believe that Alabama should not be in the playoffs. They should not be given an at-large bid in the playoffs. They are 10-3. I don't care. You remember the SEC championship, the SEC football, this SEC game? It means more. It's supposed to mean something. And to get absolutely dominated like this and then find yourself still in a playoff game is stupid. It's stupid. You don't come out flat like this. You don't come out not looking too good against Auburn, and you still get rewarded with a spot up in the rankings, which is why I think the CFB committee will still put them in a playoff spot. Now, do I think they should? No, but they probably will still end up with a playoff spot. But they came out flat against Auburn. That was a close game. I don't care. Auburn sucks. They're 5-7, not bowl eligible. They had an FCS team before that, and then they got beat at home and dominated by Oklahoma. So they look bad against Oklahoma at home. They come out FCS team, who cares? Then they play Auburn. They look bad against a bad Auburn team, and then you come out and get dominated by Georgia. You know what that looks like on a neutral site at home and away? You looked bad. And you know what the committee's been talking about? How you look. You know what looks better? Miami looks great the last 5 weeks. You know who looks good? Notre Dame's looked good for 10 straight games. And it's about how you look right now. And right now, the Alabama Crimson Tide do not look like a playoff team. Simple as that. They do not look like a playoff team. And should you put a team that doesn't look like a playoff team in the playoffs? No. When Miami lost to SMU, why were they taken out of that round of the conversation, moved all the way to 18? Because they were not looking like a playoff team. They were not looking like a good team. Now they earned themselves up in the rankings. They look like a playoff team. They look like one of the top 5 teams in the nation. And guess what? They're in the conversation now. Alabama should be moved out of the conversation. BYU also lost this weekend, so that moves Miami up a spot to probably 11. And it's between 11, 10, and 9. There's 2 playoff spots available. Between those 3 teams, who should get them? Who should get them? It's Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama. 3 teams, 2 spots. And if you looked at how all these teams have looked, Miami should be the number 1 because they have the head-to-head over Notre Dame, which matters the most, of course. And they passed the eye test these last couple weeks against a ranked Pitt team, dominated the rest of the competition. Before that, the bad competition, and Notre Dame played that same bad competition. There's no conversation. Miami should be over Notre Dame. That's the first step. Now you got 1 playoff spot: Alabama, Notre Dame. Now I hate that Notre Dame's not in a conference because they get rewarded for not being in a conference, and it's stupid. But who cares? They're 10-2. Alabama's 10-3. So who should get this spot? Who's been looking the worst? Which teams look better? And that is Notre Dame. Notre Dame should 100% get the spot. And this is the spot where the committee will be like, damn, you know what? We can get away with putting Miami in. If we also put Notre Dame in, then we won't concern the ND fans and we won't hurt the Miami fans. We can make everybody happy without justifying it too much by just taking out Alabama. They could do that. They could go that route. The route I think they should go. But I think they'll still put the SEC team that led the regular season top of the conference, top of the boards, earn their way to an SEC title, and they will completely devalue the SEC championship game because Georgia was still playing for something. They were playing to maintain a first-round bye. If they lost that game, they would not have a first-round bye. So it meant something there. But you can't pick and choose when it means something when it benefits an SEC team that you so heavily love, an inbred ranked conference. Like they just all beat up on each other when their preseason rankings are so high, and then you know how it goes. And then they boost their strength of schedule, boost their strength of record. Just an inbred strength of record conference, inbred strength of schedule conference. And I do not think Alabama, the way they looked, they also lost You want to do the Miami-Alabama conversation? Common opponent. Who they lose to? FSU. They got dominated by FSU, and Miami dominated FSU. Well, you're going to do the week 1 thing again like we do Miami-Notre Dame? It's stupid. But Alabama, over the last 3 FBS opponents they played, have not looked good. And their one big win that's holding them up, propelling them above the rest, was Georgia. And they just got absolutely beaten by Georgia. Compare Georgia now to Alabama. Georgia's the better team. That if you lose to that same team, I mean, the win that you got, even though it's at Georgia, is devalued now. Because you're no longer truly better than that team. You don't have it overhead. You don't have that head-to-head over them anymore. You don't have the head-to-head over a top 3 team anymore. You lost to them. You came out. You were trying, obviously. There's no excuse. You played the game on the football field, and you lost. Now you're 10-3. And there's 2 10-2 teams that are on the bubble or right there on the cusp of being knocked out that deserve it over Alabama. BYU doesn't deserve it over Alabama. They're not even in the conversation because they got absolutely dominated in a conference game. And the SEC bias is insane because the fact that you're going to hold that over BYU getting dominated to not consider them now that Alabama got dominated, the number 9 team, is kind of insane. You got 3 10-2 teams and Alabama's going to get in over all of them. Now, BYU would have had more of a case if they didn't get dominated so bad, but they're out the question. So now you got 2 10-2 teams along with Alabama fighting for 2 playoff spots. And who do you guys think should get in? There's going to be a complete argument in the comments like there was against the Texas video I have where everybody was just going at each other why Texas should get in, why Texas shouldn't get in. So let me know who you should and who you think should get in to the college football playoffs. I also want to know who you think, give me the college football playoff layout. Like, who do you think 1 through 10, 1 through 12, who it should be? Because it's very, very interesting. You got 3 teams fighting for 2 spots, and it just got very, very more intriguing and a very much tougher decision for the college football committee. Their brains are going to explode trying to figure out ways to keep Alabama in, and then their brains are going to explode when they finally have to put Miami over Notre Dame. That BYU loss and that Alabama loss really, really is like the death scenario for the CFB, and especially the Duke win. I believe Duke's winning right now. They're on track to win. Let me check that so don't have fake news coming out. Duke Blue Devils football. Oh, it's 20-20 in the 4th quarter. If Duke holds on, that'll be very interesting. But also, so no matter what, though, BYU losing like that, dominant fashion, they're out of the conversation. Alabama losing in dominant fashion, now they're in the conversation to be knocked out. So it's completely insane. This was the most insane scenario could have had played out. Both of those teams getting dominated. Yep, and I want to know who you think should get in, what your rankings are, and your reasoning if you want to leave, if you want to yap a little bit. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. I have another video for Miami Hurricanes coming out soon. Subscribe, please. Hit the like button. Do what you got to do. Do all the 3 combos. Subscribe, like, comment. Do whatever the hell the YouTubers say to do. Thank you for watching.